A lot of shit we do have consequences. We gotta be ready for it. Emergency, I just got out of surgery. I'm having problems with my heart, it won't work anymore. I get shit in my past and it's cursing me. I'ma stay right here for this plot to go take breath from me. I'm sipping this hand and eat this pain, but it ain't helping. My little nigga going against the grain and this shit stressing me. I pray to God that God have mercy. I'm living a crazy life. I just shot at a nigga for talking some shit on the gang. He paid the price. I was young in the rush for the money, my hunger for paper and saved my life. And that shit can save tonight. If you wanna lick shit, we can get rich, we can get paid tonight. Yeah, go. Dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money, everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but no wanna go down.
You do anything to get it, but when you gonna go after it?
Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by nigga. You killed a nigga, you don't know if you gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, dog. Real talk. Hey. Fight my demons. So many demons. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demons.
Fighting mine.
It's me against these demons. Whoa, I'm fighting these demons up in these ghosts. I'm fighting these demons, I'm on the ropes. They came with a beam up under my coat. Get hit in the spleen if you want to smoke. That money be green, so niggas don't go. I'm looking so clean, I used to be broke. Remember they laughed at me and they joked. Gave them the ball and nigga they chose. Tables turn out, nigga you go. My little nigga don't follow no code. Follow no code. My nigga follow me like the pole. I stand on my word and stand by the consequence. They say I'm heartless, thanks for the compliment. I seen your dad, homie, yelling confident. BMG gang, and bitch, you incompetent. Don't wanna hear that shit, I gotta kill that shit, lethally militant. I can get ignorant, we not considerate. Niggas do silly shit, we get the drilling shit. Guilty and innocent, don't give a fuck about the bystander. I can pull up in the high left. Don't take no slam. Don't take no slam. Dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money, everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down. You'll do anything to get it, but when you gon' go down? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by you killed a nigga, you don't know if you gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, dog. Real talk. Hey. Fight my demons. So many demons. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demons. Fighting mine. It's me against these demons. Me against these demons. Living life encased in the idea that my evil thoughts go unpunished. As I sort through the rubbish, my days of thugging get slow and rugged. Idolizing puppets who control the public like a controlled substance. Bullets in abundance, anticipating what I know is coming. All of a sudden, my past is blurry, my future is sudden. Dark and muddy, hoping for Sunday, I'm still running.
Everybody put find peace.
Find peace.
Find peace.
Find peace.
I think we all going through different steps, measures, or whatever to find peace, right? I think we all go through these things in order to try to find peace, try to find some comfort in this thing that we call life. Has anybody been paying attention to the different variations of things that's been going on? I once tried to talk to somebody about unity and, how we can use this time to be better with one another, help one another, so on and so forth. Pretty much you'll have more people in this world telling you to worry about yourself. Whenever you're on a journey to help other people, to try to bring a grander understanding to this verse, they're always going to tell you, worry about yourself. These are the things that they tell you. Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. A lot of this extends back past the history of man, going back to like you got, Indian, the Brahmarama. When you hear them people, they talk about different things. When you hear them speaking about, you know, uh Sheba, Shiva, all of these different demons, demonic entities, so on and so forth. A lot of this stuff plays a factor with other religions. If you put it all together, you might be able to see a little bit, more as far as this universe goes. But as far as what we see in front of us, we're watching these different variations of things take place inside the vessels of mankind. You're not watching it take place, on the surface to where as though we're going to see something come out of the sea. Now, of course, we might see something come out of the sea, but it would be in the minds of the multitude before it would even come out in the sea. It would be in the minds of the multitude. So you got to realize what it is when you're talking about these different things, because the only way something can exist on the outside of us if it exists on the inside of us. Does it make sense? So we have to think it, therefore it creates itself materialize, right? So the more people putting their thought on something, the faster it might materialize based off of the level of the population. Now we got 9 billion people on this planet. So the power of thought might be thinned out, might not be as strong. But if we can collectively get more people to put certain variations of thoughts out there, then collectively we can change a lot. Uh, so you got to be careful right now, though, in this new atmosphere, in this new verse, right? There's a lot of energies that's moving around the cosmos. There's a lot of energy that's moving around in the universe, right? Cosmic energy. This is where your cosmic family comes in. This is where, certain variations of zodiac energy comes in. When it get close to your birthday and stuff like that, you start to, have that energy for your birthday. Taurus season, as they say right now, we're in Aries. These zodiacs are about to change because we're adding another cycle, right? We're adding another cycle. We're in our 13th lunar cycle, coming out of our 13th lunar cycle, however you want to look at it. So there's a lot of energy that plays a factor with coming out of that Pisces era, entering the Aquarius era, coming out of one lunar cycle, going into the uh, sun cycle, right? So even this transfer right here of April, April 20th with Easter falling on April 20th, even that right there is coming into a grander level of energy, right? That's not even including the manipulation that it could be taking on the brain, right? The levels that it could be having on the brain. But let's take a listen real quick and then we'll break this down.
The Brahmarama Orifim created the many varieties of whales and dolphins that are designed to transmit sound codes that restore the natural order of an architectural pattern within the core manifestation template of creation. The amethyst order transmits frequency patterns and sound codes to their cetacean family representatives swimming in the oceans in order to help maintain electromagnetic balance and gender principle balance throughout the planetary biosphere. The hunting of these cetaceans are many times the result of the dark agenda of fallen entities attempting to manipulate humans, to stop direct transmission sourcing from the founders, in order to regain control over.
All right. So I'll just to break down what that say, like we might not have knew what they hunted certain things for. We might not have knew what they were searching for certain things for, but let's just say like dolphins, whales, things like that. It was more than just the blubber and the cartilage that they were getting from these animals, right? They were actually affecting the frequency of the planet by getting rid of dolphins or going after dolphins, however you want to look at it. It was actually affecting the frequency of the planet. The dolphins, let off signals in the water, and it's amplified in that water, right? They used to have like dolphin births and everything like that, where people would actually have like, put pregnant people around dolphins and stuff like that. But they did away with that like level of experimenting of birth. They did away with that type of birth. Um, and even the birthing process within itself, the 9-month thing, the whole stay in for 9 months, you got to reduce labor in 9 months. Like, what if there was actually 10 months that you were supposed to stay in the womb, right? uh we don't know. We don't know. And how connected is our brain to these constellations, the Lyra constellation, so on and so forth? How connected is the brain to any of these constellations in the sky? Is it affecting our brain when we see different levels of activity take place in these different constellations? Does it have an effect on parts of our brain, so on and so forth? So these are the things that I look up and the things that I get into, different variations of things that I look up and study. Now, let's look at it on a surface level. Let's be carnal minded. Carnal mindedly, what you might witness is these different variations of activities that's taking place on this earth. We might call it a cause and effect, right? Because the universe is changing, the effect down here will be different, right? So you're watching certain people that have to get right with their self, and we're viewing it from a internet perspective because we're all on the internet, so on and so forth. So we're seeing it from this realm, right? Where we're watching the things unfold, and what we're seeing is pretty much the level of activity that you're witnessing take place in the Jaguar right sector, right? The betrayal, the backstabbing, so on and so forth. These people aim to basically corrupt you, right? They want to corrupt your spirit. They want to disturb your mental, right? So they want to create, disarray. They want to create, problems, fault, argumentative things. They want to create this stuff within inside of you. They want a reason to argue with you, fight with you, so you can build the house of ego. You start building in these houses. This is what they want you to do. You don't think about it right now, but there's a reason why they want you to have a certain level of, you know, disdainment inside of you. There's a reason why they want you to speak about your accolades, speak about, because they're trying to get you to feed the house of pride. They're trying to get you to feed these houses of ego. They want you to feed these houses, right? You have to stay away from, feeding into these houses. You have to stay away from giving into these houses. They want to feed these houses. They want to feed these houses of pride, ego, gluttony, lust, right? So they want to find out about your sexcapades. They want to find out about whatever it is they can find out, right? They're not trying to honor your secrets. They're not trying to protect your weaknesses. See, when I think about a collective, I think about a collective that you give your weakness to, and they protect your weakness, right? You let them know what your strengths are, and they let you know where you're best qualified at, right? Not this whole concept to where as though, you know, you're forced to do something that you really don't like doing. You're forced to play this little game that you don't like playing. Like, this back and forth stuff is getting in the way, right? So I aim to build a different collective. A new nation is born, right? Nations are born, right? So we are on the verge of the birth of a new nation. They're calling it new world religion, or new age religion, whatever you want to call it. That's what they're trying to call it. They want you to be afraid of it. Fear doesn't exist. There's no point of being afraid of something new coming into the picture, right? You got to think there was a time that Christianity had to fight for a seat. There was a time that, the Nation of Islam, Muslims, all of those people, all of those different, religions with nationalities, all of these things, they had to fight for their spot. Now we're in an age where we don't have to fight. We don't have to fight. All we got to do is want it. That's it. That's all you got to do is want it. Do you want a religion of peace? Do you want a religion that sits down and find the common, ground with one another? Do you want a religion that's based off of understanding, one another as opposed to just putting us under something, right? I no longer want to understand. I want to understand so I can overstand, so I'll never have to be under anything again. There's a lot of things that's changing in this world. Will you be one of the things that change in this world? Are you seeking change in this world? Are you trying to go after change in this world? Do you want to be a part of the change in this world? Because there's a lot of things changing in this world. But I want to take y'all to a story of King Arthur, right? King Arthur put together the Rainbow Round Table. The Rainbow Round Table will be consisted of the Knights of the Round Table. This is all the colors that was coming in through the light, right? The constellations, constructing these constellations, understanding the 48 constellations of the sky. A lot of people don't grasp a lot of this knowledge, especially when you have to say, like, right now we know about 12 zodiacs. We know about 12, the central 12 constellations. We don't know about the 6 that's in the north and the 6 that's in the south that we don't see, that makes up 24, right? And then we don't know about the 24 and the 24 that makes up the 48 that comes together to make up the 24 that comes together to make up the 12, right? If you think about it like you know that Chinese dial that they say, it's called a China dial, but it's got like, it's like a dial, and then inside of that it's a smaller dial, and then a smaller dial, and then a smaller dial, so on and so forth. Think about our universe being like that, but think about it in a concept of constellations, right? So you have a circular constellational sky of 48. Inside of that there's 24. Inside of that there's 12, right? And then we, mankind, make up 6. You get it? You get it? That's where the 666 come in at, right? Because you have 88 that makes up, the nestling dials. You have 88 that makes up, that inside of that 88 is the 48. Inside of that 48 is the 24. Inside of that 24 is the 12. Inside of that 12 lives the 6. The 6 is the energies that's put in mankind to make us, our chemical makeup, right? Now, however you break this down, the numbers are going to all come out the same. It's all going to resemble the same. It's all going to, revolve around the same thing. It's all going to circle around the same thing. Grand Rising, Namaste, Ashe, salutation, shalom, peace. Hope all is well. It's all going to revolve around the same thing. So it's all going to come back to the same thing, right? Which is the understanding of oneself, right? Sacrificial, so on and so forth. What is the understanding of that? Now, of course, we can do it the Egyptian way and speak about pillars, right? But if you do it this way, this speaks about the mathematic base of 12. 12 times 12 equaling 144. 144 is the breakdown of the DNA. The DNA will awaken, and the 144 strands of your DNA plus the 144 Lee lines of this planet will awaken, because as above, so below, as without, so within, so on and so forth, right? So when it says the 144 will awaken, not only will 144 awaken outside of the vessel, but 144 will awaken inside of the vessel. But it has more so to do with Lee lines and vibrational frequencies and so on and so forth.
Through the current stages of the gradual bifurcation happening within the blended reality system, the fallen system of artificial timelines in the phantom matrix built upon the artificial tree of life is systematically collapsing. The more that human beings can embody love and bring back organic creator code, base 12 math, returning the native language of our species' DNA back into the earth, the faster the artificial system is being dismantled. This is the primary paleo.
So this is why grounding is important. This is why giving your energy back to Mother Nature is important. This is a sensor system, right? The universe has its own censorship, right? So when you go out and you ground and you putting your feet back on the dirt, the earth, you're letting Gaia, which is the consciousness of earth, you're letting her know that you're here. Think about it as like a registration, right? So the more people that register and let the earth know, it's like adding your consciousness back to a pool, right? So you're putting yourself back in this pool. When you, it's like connecting back to a mainframe, a motherboard. It's like putting yourself back on a different level of connection. So now with this new sun coming out, April, right? This summer, so on and so forth, you're going to have a different level of energy. Your energy is going to change. You're going to find like people that's sad and stuff like that. They did, you know, the people that's sad, they're going to be the ones that's not out in the sun, that's not getting the sun, right? I talked to a friend of mine and he's in Alaska, and he was telling me like, you know, they have artificial sun bays, right? Because they experience, you know, 6 months of sun, 6 months, you know, 6 months of darkness, 6 months of light. Like, so they really, there's no time really, because if you have a time where it's 6 months of all daylight, then you pretty much got to shut your own house down in order to know that it's nighttime, right? Can you imagine 6 months of all darkness, like dark for the whole 6 months? You know, 12 up, 12 down, all dark, right? So they determined that the lack of sun actually puts the body in depressive, you know, states, so on and so forth. So what they got artificial sun bays. Basically, you can go and stand in this artificial light in order to get away from like depression or sadness and stuff like that, because it purifies you. Now think about that. If they saying that, then what they telling you is somehow, some way, the light that is coming in from the sun is altering or playing a factor on feelings and emotions. And you wouldn't, no one would really pay attention to this because we're so busy with work and so on and so forth. But you wouldn't pay attention to that when you don't have the sun, or you're lacking the sun, right? You wouldn't pay attention to the fact that, you know, you're, it's actually taking a toll on you, putting you in a state of depression, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? You heard Ali Carter say that she's snatching up kids too. You heard her. She said, if we could, we'll just snatch them up right in front of y'all. You heard her. All these people have to wait. All these things, they have to have a way to lure you in. They have to create a way to lure you in. So Ali Carter is nothing but a lure. That's it. Think about fishing. When you fishing for something, you want to lure. So you cast your lure out there so that way it brings them in. It's the bait. Ali Carter is the bait. Shelly Carter is the fisher, right? The fisherman. So she's putting Ali Carter on there and throwing her out there as bait. And then, you know, Tori Outlaw, whatever you want to call herself, she brings them in, right? This plausible deniability, because Tori can say that she don't know what's happening to these kids after they get in there, right? After she brings them in, whatever. Think about how many runaways we got. Think about how, you know, people are filling out applications disappear. Like there's too much behind that, right? Look at the Tammy situation right now, right? Look at big homie Cece. He's caught up in trafficking because he's going around picking people up for Jaguar. You can't take people from one state to another state. In fact, the laws are different in each state. Once you pick up somebody from their house and take them to another location, if you don't drop them off where you pick them up at, it's considered napping. So, however you want to look at this, there's something strange and it don't look good, you know? You look at this whole Jaguar situation, it's a lot going on. That's why I say make sure y'all get over and check out some memorabilia over at the store, over at the shop. You know, the Atlas Family Store. Make sure y'all check it out over there. Um, like I say, I see a lot of different levels of activity going on. I try to conduct that, you know, conduct myself accordingly. Um, and you know, knowing that we are one great representation of one another, I try to handle myself properly for the sake of the collective that is around me, right? Because they're going to, you know, benefit, and they're also going to they're going to benefit, and they're also going to take a little bit of the weight of the bullshit, right? When bullshit is going on, it's a little weight that is played with this whole thing, right? So you know, I just try to be cautious when it comes to certain things. I'm very cautious when it comes to certain things, so I don't walk into the bull crap. It's a lot of bull crap in this world right now that's going on. Uh, you know, but when they talked about the staff and the staff and the rod, these are things that's been put into circulation a long time ago. The staff and thy staff and thy rod be with me all the days of my life. If you remember these things, these are things that should be familiar to your life water. When you hear these phrases, it should trigger something inside of you. These are things the Bible tell you that these are things that are placed inside of you with the spell that's in the word. That's why the book of Ecclesiastics tell you in Ecclesiastic 12, it tells you to remember your creator. It's reminding you of the creator of the text, right? The person who embedded these words inside the vessel of mankind. And when you hear these words, it will install and remind you of the strength that came with these words, right? You can look it up in the Bible, Ecclesiastics uh 12, right? Remember your creator. Actually, it starts at 11:7 and it goes into 12, but it's remember your creator. I don't know if anyone wants to come up and read that verse, that particular verse, Ecclesiastic 11:7, where it reminds you of the creator, the writer of the text, he who searched the world to make sure that his words was true, and he sold it into his flock. He embedded these words into the flock, right? So when you hear certain words, it's a reminder to your life water. When you hear certain things, it reminds your life water. See, anyone who comes back and starts teaching a certain level of knowledge that was long lost, right? It will remind your life water. It will spark something in your life water. This is why they don't like people to come back and start teaching this level of knowledge of things that I'm speaking about, because you're going to feel a spark. You're going to start having downloads. You're going to start remembering. Even if you sit around it, it'll sit on you for a while, and then your dreams will start changing. This will start changing. This is why the awakening process is so dangerous. This is why I say Christ will come back and his tongue will be his sword, because with his tongue he will wake people up. With his tongue he will be a warrior. With his tongue he will give out lessons. With his tongue he will speak truth into existence. With his tongue he will speak power into life, right? So a lot of things that's happening right now is based off the power of the tongue.
Arthur's mission in Spiral Time was embodiment of the 11D Grail. protector of hierogamic Ednic and Avalon coding, the Universal Rod and Staff, Pillar of Power codes, and Emerald Order reclamation. Guardian Christos mission teams have recovered a massive amount of hardware, in terms of the alien machinery used to power up these AI holograms, that were running artificial Emerald Guardian holograms, and Emerald Order DNA code projections into artificial timelines used by Thothian Luciferian imposters. This cloning attempt in the Phantom constructs was used to attempt overrides on all organic Emerald Order coding, perverting the Emerald Founder records and related architecture into Thothian-controlled distortions. As a result of recent Paleodorian activations and Emerald Order halls of cosmic records being repaired from the damage incurred from stolen holographic disk translations used in AI timelines for erecting the checkerboard mutations, recovery of the universal organic consciousness body of King Arthur has been achieved. This also has mysterious connections that relate directly to the next stage of awakening the Albion landmass and Rose Heart lines. This is a major victory for the Cosmic Christos family for regaining control over grids in the UK, and now moving on to the dismantling of the fallen systems, the systematic collapse of the Phantom Matrix.
Now, a lot of you are not making the connection yet. Even though you keep hearing certain things, you're still not making the connection of why everything is talked about when it's talked about. This is why I keep on explaining that I'm 50 steps ahead of people, right? Yes, I might have came into this late, right? Yes, I might have, oh, you're new to this, you're new to this. There's nothing new under the sun. What is, always was, and always will be. The same fight that we're fighting now is the same fight that we repeated in the time of dirt and dung, right? It is just a repeat of the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. So a lot of people say that I'm late. I don't know what I'm talking about, so on and so forth. But here's the thing about this, right? When you are familiar with your Akashic records, when you practice a certain level of Kundalini rising, right? You can get attached to your Akashic records and get knowledge of the old times that a lot of people don't know about. This is why Jaguar Wright speaks about stuff and says, is it technology or is it old magic? And you got to ask yourself, is technology something new or has technology been here before? Right? Are we experiencing another reset? Because it would seem that we were already reset before. According to Zachariah Stitchens and the studies of Zachariah Stitchens, they got these things that's called parts. Parts is basically technology that's found outside of its time. They found helicopters in the earth outside of the time of the Wright brothers. So they found helicopters and stuff like that at a time before the Wright brothers existed, right? They consider these things to be parts. Parts is pretty much history that's not in its correct order, right? And there's a lot of historical things that's not particularly in the order of which it's supposed to, or of which the history that we know of speaks of, right? And there's multiple variations of this throughout the history of man if you allow yourself to comb through it. But here we are embarking on this journey, swearing up and down that our journey is the only journey that existed down here, when we know that to be fraudulent. We know that according to the history, that Christ traveled to Egypt, right? We know that he sat down with Gandhi, right? We know this stuff through the history of what was said, what was written. If you read all the books, if you keep on reading, something is taking place and it's a repeated thing. It's something that is repeating, right? When you're studying the Lee lines and the plate tectonic shifting, you remember earth science. You guys remember earth science in school? Roughly around the 7th and 8th grade, they taught you earth science. They gave you an earth science book. They told you that, plate tectonic take place up under us where the plates are shifting, right? And the crust and the core, right? And then when you get older, you find out that man only been 8 miles into the crust of the earth. We didn't go to the core or none of that stuff that they say where the molten rock is at. You know, when you studied about lava is magma on the earth's surface, right? Under the earth is called magma. On top of the earth is called lava. Earthquakes take place because of plate tectonic. Volcanoes erupt under our ocean and it forms islands, right? The shifting of plates, sand dunes that build up from the sand moving under the earth. I mean, not under the earth, but in the water, so on and so forth, creating sand dunes. Japan just released 2021 that they just now released 2000 something new islands because now they labeled the sandbars as islands now. So now there's 2,000 more islands out there, so on and so forth. Everybody's familiar with the history of our world, right? One's in the chat if you're familiar with the history of our world, or do you need like a refresher course? We know Alexander sailed. We know all of this stuff. You know, Americus. You know, Zachariah Stitchens. You know, Earth Chronicles. You know, Scientology, where they say, you know, that we grew on the turtle's back. All of these different things that's going on. You know, Homo erectus, Homo sapien, Homo sapioid, Neanderthal, caveman, primitive beast. All of these things that say how we evolved and got to where we're at right now. Evolution at its finest, as they say. Evolution at its finest, right? Now, as we sit and we get ready for this new level of knowledge to come in, don't you guys agree that it's about time that we evolve, right? We keep on asking what's going on. Evolution is taking place right now, but it would have to take place with consciousness first. Before we can evolve as species, we would first have to evolve as a conscious, right? The first thing is admitting that something exists. That's the first thing, is admitting that something exists. You have to first admit that your conscious exists. You have to admit that there's a conscious inside of you. A lot of us don't even admit or acknowledge that there's a conscious inside of us. Do you know that? Do you believe that? Can you believe that people won't even admit that there's a conscious inside of them? Right? So before Christ, you know, 2,000 years before this biblical book took place, they had some different people. They had Anunnakitus, whatever, something like that. And these was the guardians of Christ, the guardians of Kratos. Remember, Christ came along as a word to ridicule people who follow Jesus Christos meaning to reflect, right? So as a word, the pagans used Christian as a word to ridicule them. Later on, they later, you know, carried that name proudly, you know, as a follower of Christ. And you can look that up in your Concord Bible or your Bible Concord, whatever it's called. You can look that up in there, that Christ was actually a word that was brought on as ridicule. Okay. So before that, there was someone who wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, wrote the New Testament. His name was Ion, I-O-N. This was before they changed the I to J and made it John. So before John became John, it was actually I-O-N, which was Ion. He wrote the New Testament, I want to say 300 years before Christ, or 200 years before Christ came into the picture. It might be 1,000 years, because all these dates and times were shifted and changed, right? But you might want to look it up. It was called Ion. He was called Ion, right?
The Guardian, previously known as Akhenaten while incarnated, is from the Aten group and is intimately involved with the reclamation of Christos' mission, the
Allegedly.
Paleodorian activations on the Earth. His
Allegedly.
mission is designed to protect those who are from the ancient original Christos and Yeshua 12 bloodlines, of which he was involved in bringing to the planet while working with the Azurite teams over 2,000 years ago. He is the original family patriarch of the Second Grail line of the Ruby Order and Cosmic Fathers Ruby Templar. It is his bloodline that propagates in the Universal Christ bloodline still today, although much misinformation is propagated about him to discredit his legacy. Jesus Christ, aka J12, is a Syrian blue human from the future that came to shift the inorganic third-dimensional timelines, and embody the primary Magi Grail line genetics of the 12-strand diamond sun DNA. This was the original soul matrix for angelic humans that originated on 5D Terra. Thus, he brought the Essenes, Christos Templars, and Law of One Ascension knowledge and its consciousness technology back to the planet Earth. He is a direct family member and descendant of Akhenaten's second primary Grail line of Ruby Sun DNA genetics. As a result, Akhenaten is the father of all Christos Grail lines on the Earth, but Guardian Yeshua embodied as the primary Grail line for rehabilitating the complete 12-strand diamond sun DNA template. This Guardian mission was in response to the DNA damage the planet and humanity had most recently suffered after the Luciferian rebellion, and then after the Sumerian Egypt invasion, which was the final destruction of the Mother's Staff Principle and...
See, right there. Now, we know for a fact that some of this stuff took place in our history. We know that Egypt, Sumerian and Egyptian history exists. We know that the Atlantic cataclysm took place, right? We know that Pompeii took place, right? So when you're doing this and you're studying the history of man and you're digging into this stuff, you will find like these different marker points where it seemed like even with the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Incas, right? It would seem like their civilization reached a marker where they was either challenged to evolve or destruction took place. These are catastrophic events, right? So in the time of Atlantis, a catastrophic event took place where evolution or a chance to evolve was given and it was turned down or whatever, however you want to look at it. Right now, we have a chance to evolve. Right now, we are experiencing the rising of the water. Right now, we're in a time where we can cast our lot, right? Do you want to cast your lot with the carnal nature, survival, lower vibration, so on and so forth, fear? Or are you casting your lot with intellect, knowledge, wisdom, unity, love? These are higher vibrational frequencies. Unity, love, peace, all of these things are higher vibrational energies, and it's a practice. You have to practice these things, right? Every day I have to practice being peaceful. Every day, in every moment, I have to practice being loving. I have to continuously practice this stuff. That's why I would rather, I'd rather sit around and laugh and joke with Seven, even though we might frustrate each other, get on each other's nerves or whatever. We both know, that it's just love there, right? So even when we get frustrated at each other, when he sit there and he say, I don't understand, he gets mad at me and stuff like that. I don't mind because I know he's seeking that. He's seeking understanding, right? But when you're on the internet and you're dealing with adults, they already know what they think they know. They don't empty their cup to put more in it. A lot of people are not open-minded to new variations of knowledge. A lot of people are not open-minded. See, the youth is yearning for a change. The youth is yearning for unity. The youth is yearning for us to show the example of what we've been telling them when they was a kid, right? Get over it. Don't let nothing bother you for too long. We raised our kids like this, But we didn't become like this when we became adults. We teach our kids about strength, integrity, unity, forgiveness. But we didn't become that when we became adults. We became bitter. We became, holding on to these different variations of whatever it is that they holding on to, right? So 9 times out of 10, I would rather sit in the house and argue back and forth with 7 and give him understanding. Because we don't understand the world that they got to live in. Half of us grew up in a time where cell phones didn't exist, where the internet didn't exist, where one moment didn't last forever. We grew up in a time where, it was the grapevine. By next week, something else was being talked about. If you got embarrassed in school, just give it some time. By the following week, something else was being talked about. Not now. They live in a time where their moments are captured forever, right? Aren't you the kid that got beat up? Aren't you the kid that got this? Didn't you go viral? Aren't you on World Star? Like, so it's a time where their image and their pride, it matters. It matters to them. Their pride, their image, how they look, that stuff matters until they get the notion of it. I went back and forth with 7 about, his pride. Like you care about what other people think about you, right? You start growing into this world, and we are raised in the idea of what other people think about us, how other people think about us. You're talking about, growing up in a household where everything was an example of the family. Do you know how that made us look? You going to school, getting in trouble, so on and so forth. My brother, one of my brothers used to go to school dirty. He used to go to school stinking all the time, right? And when he would come home and stuff like that, after like the school would call home or something, then my mom would say stuff to him like, do you know how that make us look? You going to school like that? Uh, do you know how that make us look? And all I kept thinking in my head, like, do you know how that make him look? Him look nasty. Him look dirty. Him look stinky, stinky. You know what I'm saying? Him look like a dirt. I was that this. I used to think this all the time, even when I was in foster care, and I used to have these because in foster care we used to have meetings every day in foster care. We used to have these group meetings every day in foster care. So in foster care, I used to tell the people because they be like, man, you get up there and you just talk about your mom and talk about her drug uses. Like you're not embarrassed. I'm like, why would I be embarrassed? Like she chose the drug, not me. She used it, not me. Why am I embarrassed? If the person that's using it ain't embarrassed, why am I going to be embarrassed? People be trying to make it seem like you supposed to feel something that the person that's doing it not doing it. We got alcoholics in our family, and we more embarrassed than the alcoholic. We do more apologizing than the person that's doing it. Tell me, one's in the chat, you ever apologize for somebody else's behavior? They don't even feel bad about their behavior, you sitting there apologizing to them for them. I don't know, not me.
Conventional Templar crew called the Azurites, originally organized by the RA Confederacy. The disbanded Azurite team is now hosted directly by the Emerald Order. As a team, they were working with repairing the planet.
Now, I want y'all to understand something. A lot of this stuff means nothing to you guys, right? I understand it. A lot of this stuff means nothing to you guys, and maybe at different times, at different points, right? This stuff means nothing, right? But to the person who's supposed to get it, right? To the people who's supposed to get it, you get exactly what this means. You know exactly what this means, right? you know, these are the pyramid Lee lines, right? These are the Lee lines of the pyramids and how the Lee lines run through our planet, so on and so forth. So at a time of like old times, right? The geographic location would have been in Egypt, right? The lower Egypt, center Egypt, however you want to look at it, but X marks the spot. So if you actually study like the North Pole, you will see that the North Pole moves all the time. Like it used to be in Canada and now it's getting further and further up, I think. So it's telling you that our planet is shifting. It's telling you that our planet is going through a shift, and X marks the spot. So if you go into what took place more recently, I think North America was marked as like the X that marks the spot with the eclipse, and you know that eclipse that ran through all of those Jonases, all of those states that it ran through in North America. And you know, remember that whole swallowed up thing? They was trying to cover it up with the whole swallowed up, making it seem like a lustful thing when he was talking about Jonas and the whale, to stop you from paying attention that we were actually in that story. Like the old time stories say, Jonas and the whale, the swallowed up Jonas. All of those states was named Jonas. They got swallowed up by the eclipse, which was known as the whale. Then you have Jacob's star being in the sky, so on and so forth. So this goes back to, you know, the Pyramid of Giza, the studying of the pyramids, so on and so forth, the passing over.
In 1864, Charles Piazzi Smith, Astronomer Royal for Scotland, gave in his book Our Inheritance in the Great Pyramid the coordinates with 30 degrees 0 minutes north 31 degrees 0 minutes east, the location of the Great Pyramid of Giza. In addition, in October of that year, Smith proposed to position the prime meridian at the longitude of the Great Pyramid because there it would pass over more land than any other. He also argued the cultural significance of the location and its vicinity to Jerusalem. The expert committee deciding the issue, however, voted for Greenwich because so many ships used the port of London. Referring to Smith's book, Frederick Augustus Porter Barnard wrote in his 1884 book, The Imaginary Metrological System of the Great Pyramid of Giza, that the perfect location of the Great Pyramid along the longitudinal line could only have been purposefully done by its builders.
So
1.
that's the same thing that you can apply to anything, right? If you want to ask yourself, you know, is there a higher power? Is there a higher being, right? You have to ask yourself, out of all the planets, Earth itself, it is a particular size. That's what gives it a gravitational pull. And remember, I got ADHD and OCD and ODD. So sometimes you got to remind me of the point that I was originally trying to make, or later on, I'll remember the point that I was really trying to make. And remember, I said, you guys remember the earth science books back in the day, right? So now we're back at the earth science point, right? Science, right? They told us that in order for Earth to have this gravity, right, it was because our planet was unique and it had a certain size. It was a certain size, right? That's what gave it the gravity that it has in order for us to exist. Now, I want you to think about that, right? If that is true, then that means somebody in the universe determined the exact measurements that this planet would have to be for us to exist. If it's a certain amount of points off, right, we're either too heavy or too light. Gravity is too much or is not enough, right? So somebody calculated the mathematical equation to a point in order for us to exist. That lets me know that it's a higher power. Anytime I think about that, I know that something greater is out there because someone had to get that right. We don't know how many times they got it wrong, right? We don't know how many times they got it wrong, but someone had to get that mathematical equation right in order for our planet to have the gravitational pull that it has, for it to be the size that it has. You go back to the understanding of Earth science and how they told you that every planet was a certain size. And because Earth was a particular size, that's what gave it the gravitational pull, right? That's what allowed the sun and all of this other stuff to be in the stance that it's in, so on and so forth. It's because of our gravitational pull. No other planet has that, so on and so forth. Now they changing up the definition of gravity and saying that gravity doesn't really exist. It has to do with magnets, and it has nothing to do with gravitational pull. It's saying that we're in the middle of two magnetic forces, right? So now they're changing it, saying that we are in the center of two magnetic forces, and that is the real cause of gravity, so on and so forth. So a lot of stuff that we were taught back in the 90s, you know, it's not the same now. It's not the same teachings now. Not only that, a lot of the not just the teachings, a lot of the other stuff also. A lot of the other stuff also. Grand Rising. Grand Rising. A lot of the other stuff also that we was taught in school has changed. I mean, math has changed. The kids are learning a different math. They took cursive out of school, right? No cursive writing is in school, right? And this goes back to what I was saying. Remember, I got ADHD, so everything will circle back around to something that I was trying to make a point with. This goes back to the spell that is in the word, right? So we got to be careful with our tongue nowadays, because there is truly a spell that is in the word. The Latin, when they changed it over from Latin into English, right? You see what Trump is doing right now. He's making English America's official language. You know what that means? Do you know what it means to have an official language? Hey, chewing gum, you ain't lying. We got to enter the jungle every time we go into these other pages, don't we? Whew, it's getting bad. I don't even try to venture into those pages no more. Although we do watch from the back end, I don't try to venture in because a lot of people are not looking to open their mind. So it's hard to get a closed-minded group to actually open their mind. A lot of people are already fighting something inside of them. And that's nothing to say about them. We're all fighting something. You know what I mean? We're all fighting something. So it's like I try to just embrace what is given, right? I know that we're going to enter these spaces. I know that we're going to, step into these negative spaces, but that's why I just try to practice, peace with inside myself. I realize everything ain't for everybody. This is why Christ himself spoke in parables, right? And I find myself speaking in parables from time to time because I know everything ain't for everybody, right? So even if we are to understand that the Torah is the spirit, that the Quran is the mind, and that the Bible is the flesh, the mind, body, and soul. Even if you had a grander understanding that all three of these books are greater together, you still can't make no one else see that all three of these books are greater together if they don't want to see that all three of these books are greater together. Does that make sense? One's an attack, if that makes sense. In other words, you can't make somebody see something they don't want to see. If you don't want to see the power in unity, I can't help you see the power in unity. If you don't want to see the power in love, I can't help you see the power in love. But I can have proper discernment so you won't, alter my chorus, right? Because we're all on particular paths, but not the same path, right? So you got to steady the storm. You got to weather the storm, right? I know that everything ain't for everybody. I get that. The certain things that we talk about in here, the knowledge and stuff that we talk about, the higher vibrational stuff that we talk about, that's not for everybody, right? When you start getting into the biblical text, where you're talking about the Anunnakis or the Nephilim, Anubaru, these fallen hybrids, Babylon, mystery Babylon, stuff like that. Sophia, when you start talking about this type of stuff, it ain't for everybody. I get it. That's why we have that carnal time. You know what I mean? That's why we have that carnal time, that time where we sitting there and we pointing out the carnal minded stuff, the stuff that's taking place in the carnal, because I get it. Like the higher stuff is only for like certain people, but that carnal stuff, people can, that's substance that they can, attach to. Like when you're pointing out the lower vibrational entities, the people that, operate with the lust, the greed, the gluttony, it's easier to see when you're pointing it out like that, when you're pointing out the operation of jealousy, when you're pointing out the operation of greed, gluttony, right? It's harder for you to understand it when I'm breaking it down and I'm telling you like, okay, these are the the Solomon's demons. These are the demons of the soul of man, and they exist within inside of so many different people, and they fed these entities. They fed them. They fed the lust inside of their self. They fed the greed inside of their self. They fed the, envy, jealousy, anger, hurt, pain. They fed all of that stuff. That's why they're pushing it back out into the world. Listen to them. Just listen to them. The next time you listen to them, the stuff they're going to say, right? The stuff they're going to say. You know what they're going to say. They're going to say stuff like, you can't tell me I got the right to hate you. I got the right to hate you for as long as I want to hate you. Ain't that what Sherelle World said to AT2? You brought up my mama. I got to hate you as long as I got the right to hate you. This is what they want. Ain't that what Donat said about AT2? These are the things that they say. This is how you know that they're feeding the wrong houses. This is how you know they feeding the wrong houses, those ego houses, right? How you got the right to hate somebody, but say you love somebody who you never seen. That's what the Bible says. How can you say you love God who you have never seen, yet hate your brother who you see every day? How can you say that? How can you sit there and say, I got the right to hate you? How? The Bible don't teach that. The Bible don't speak about that. In fact, you can't speak of love if you have that much hate. If you hate somebody who you see every day, you can't possibly speak of love. So that's why I say you got to pay attention to a lot of these people.
The solar logos and access to the solar deities is the collective solar king or sun god complex. Within our light bodies we have a sun temple, the place of light that illumines our spiritual inner core and stokes our heart flame through the eye of Ra. The eye of Ra is located within the solar plexus and still point area of the chakra system. The solar king provides warmth, growth, solar nourishment, and protection for our solar plexus, for building our inner spiritual light to blend with our will center. To build and activate our sacred sun temple to be illumined as a house of light, the solar king is the amplifier to call upon. If our heart is blackened from the use of excessive will, fear, pain, or wounds, we call the solar deity to build the inner temple within. Upon the altar of our inner sun temple, we find comfort and refuge from the dark night to return back into the light to heal our wounds. Through refuge within the inner sun temple, we are risen again back to the light source upon the ashes of our pain. This is the amplifier for sudden traumas, shocks, betrayal and losses, to gain inner strength and endurance quickly. Many of us have root memories of resonant affiliation connecting to a planetary, sun temple, which are where many pyramids that have been built to mark the primary energy vortices of planet Earth. The Solar King will connect you again to the sun temple of your genetic coding to mirror the reflection of rebuilding your inner sun temple with rebuilding the sun temples of the earth. 3.
Now, the story
14th
of
gold
this,
chakra.
the story of this Solar King, this storyline, the concept of it, the Eye of Ra, it repeats over and over again. 3 different levels of identity, 3 different levels: personal identity, conscious, collective identity. All of these different things are inside of one person, right? Christ going through this battle, this fight, that is inside of one person. The 12 disciples, that is inside one person, right? Jacob's ladder, Jacob meaning coming full circle. It's called a hill catcher. It is considered to be the zodiac signs. That's why when you make a dream catcher, you make a dream catcher in a full circle. It's supposed to have the zodiac signs and the symbols of the zodiac signs in the dream catcher. That's an official dream catcher because it has the zodiac signs, which is holding on the heel of the next zodiac sign, right? So the next time you get somebody to make a dream catcher for you, tell them to put the zodiac signs around in the circle, right? And then match that with the crystals around it, right? This is going to enhance the dream catcher. So this is going to help you in your dream state wherever you put this at. So next time you make a dream catcher, put the zodiac signs around it. Now this is old magic. This is connecting you back to old magic, because that's what Jacob meant. Jacob meant full circle. That's what Jacob ladder was. Now Constantine tricked the text and told them to make it seem as though Jacob's ladder was a ladder and the angels was going up and down this ladder. No, the Jacob's ladder is the zodiac signs, and the angels are moving through our zodiac signs. Angelic energies are moving through our zodiac signs. Does that make sense? One's in the chat if that makes sense. One's in the chat if that makes sense. So now you have a grander understanding of what is, always was, and always will be: as above, so below; as without, so within. So the same thing that is inside of us is outside of us. The same thing that is outside of us is inside of us. Once you understand your personal Christ, then you move to a Christ consciousness. So there is a Christ inside of all of us, and that will be the personal Christ of us, right? But after you come out of that personal Christ, you move into a Christ consciousness. This is where Christ says, all things I can do, you can do, and more, right? So this is where the all things I can do, you can do, and more comes in, right? So as he comes into a personal Christ, he's like, I can do many things. And then moving into a Christ consciousness, it's we can do many things, right? So that's the gathering of a mindset to change from a personal singularity to a universal oneness, right? Where it comes a we. That's where the collective comes in. This is why I say we are all part of this collective. You know, these people want to step outside and try to create their own collective. But when I say collective, I'm talking about all 9 billion people plus on this planet. When I say collective, when I talk about the level of unity, I'm talking about the unification of all 9 billion people on this planet, right? Their unification comes with certain variations of or stimulations or stipulations based off of their limited education or primitive notion of whatever cation they have.
From the Guardian perspective, the personal Christ is defined as the entirety of the personal Christos identities reunited throughout the simultaneous 12 planetary time cycles in the triune of universes. Thus, the term Christ or Christos used in this context is not denoting the individual being referred to as Jesus Christ, as taught through the world religions. Christos extends way beyond all meaning associated with planetary consciousness and actually describes the state of eternal cosmic consciousness, the title given to a free cosmic citizen.
Christos
1.
meant to reflect.
The word Christ has been distorted in its use on the earth plane intentionally from being integrated into secret societies and violent religions manufactured by the NAA to create harm in the human race. We endeavor to use the word Christ, Christos Sophia, crystal, Christ, and Christalla interchangeably to return the real meaning and use of these words to denote the consciousness principles of the law of one, the cosmic structure of creation as they are intended by the eternal God Source. There are 12 astrological precessions in the universal scale of time, each with 144 personal Christos identities. Returning back to the 12th astrological
Did you see
precession.
that? Did you see that? There are 12 astrological perceptions in the universe scale of time, which within is 144 personal Christos identities, right? Can you imagine 144 identities awaking inside of one person? Can you imagine inside of you? Can you? That is great. People wouldn't even know. You'll be talking some stuff like you'll be so separate from society. Like you'll be like, what? To embrace us. This is what makes you like the mind self, right? Right? Planetary Lee lines, right? All of this stuff leads back to 144. All of it leads back to 144. The mathematics, 12 times 12, 144. Universal law, 12 laws within inside of 12 laws that leads to 144. Your DNA, 12 strands. What's inside the DNA? 12 more strands that equals 144. Your chromosomes put together equals 144. Think about it. Everything leads to 144. Everything leads to 144. You know, sometimes when you stop looking at the difference and you start looking at the similarities, you can catch certain things. So a long time ago, I stopped looking at differences and started marking similarities, and I was shocked to find the connection of all things. All things connect back to a as above, so below, as without, so within concept. All things lead back to this point of understanding, right? All things lead back to it. I was shocked. I was like, man, all these things, the Buddhic mind, Christ mind, uh Mus the Muslim mindset, all of these things led back to the same thing. All of it. It was an understanding of oneself, the true living God. You didn't know, you don't think about it. You don't think about it until, later in your life, however you look at it. That's when you really think about it and you start to understand, like, wow. So God lives inside of all of us, but it's a consciousness. And once you understand the workings of this consciousness, you realize that because you are created, that level of creative energy is inside of you. Therefore, the God inside of you is a creator God. And that's getting back to the 0 point of oneself, understanding that you are a part of that universal consciousness. Once you realize that you're a part of that consciousness, you have to accept that a consciousness exists inside of you. A lot of y'all don't even want to say a conscious exists inside of you. So therefore, you can't get to that universal consciousness that is the creator, right? So we're all trying to figure out how to get back to that consciousness.
The framework of manifested
Does that
creation in
make
our
sense?
universe starts from within.
Ones in the chat if that makes sense.
Within the eternal God source or the center point of all union, by vibration.
Don't you keep on messing up on me, AI. Now we talked about this. Read shit.
Vibrationally down stepping through itself, contracting the consciousness into a singular point of focus which forms a creational intention. All of creation, from the unmanifest to manifest forms emerge from the consciousness energy of the eternal God source, and ultimately all of these consciousness forms will return back into the center point of all union, reuniting with the All One. Thus, the eternal consciousness of the God source resides within and around all of us. Each living being is the original manifestation of the intelligent consciousness units that exist in the entire body of the God source or All One. The intelligent consciousness units or the living God spirit that is alive in all things is called the inner Christos, which is built upon the universal natural laws. We can come to understand this through the reverence for all of life, and through philosophies that are described in the Law of One.
So when you're looking at the Law of One and everything like that, this is where the eternal God human comes in, right? The unity, intelligence, right? This is where eternal love, consciousness, so on and so forth. This is where all that comes in, right? Not only that, you get on different levels or variations of level of this, right? The power of one is great, but the power of oneness, right? This is where it's a unified one, right? It's not saying that we all are controlled. It's not saying that we all follow one, rhetoric, so on and so forth. That's the carnal mind. When the carnal mind thinks of it, the carnal mind think of someone else controlling, superiority, so on and so forth. The spiritual mind understands that unity comes with the ability to allow one to blossom freely, right? No matter what. When you think about unity, accepting of the fact that that we're going to make mistakes in this life, right? We have to learn to accept the fact that we are not going to get it right, that we make mistakes, right? But we strive to be better. We strive to get it right. We strive to do all of these people that's telling you to go back into that low vibration, eat with your hands, be an animal. Yes, go into the wilderness. That's low vibrational. You carry yourself with more dignity. Our ancestors been through enough already that should give you a level that should make you want to be better, push towards unity on both sides. On both sides, no matter how you looking at this, history has showed, haven't we been through enough? Haven't we put each other through enough? Has history's not shown that? Through all the levels of experiments, through all the levels of propaganda, through all the levels of madness, has history not shown that we put each other through enough? I mean, we done seen every different variation of division, but we haven't seen unity. I mean, we're at the point where we're so divided right now, where our kids are identifying as furries and trans canine. We're at the point where we're so divided right now. We have light seeds, star seeds, Gen Xers. Come on, y'all don't see it. We're at the level of division where people thinking that people are reptiles and so on and so forth. We so far past division that it doesn't make any sense. People are divided based off of something that they can't even see. They don't even know the system. They just thinking of more ways to divide. What blood type are you? Nah, I can't kick it with you. You AB positive, and I can't fuck with nobody that's AB positive. You got to be O negative around this motherfucker. If you ain't O negative with the double I's, like, come on, man. How much division do y'all want? Y'all want to be divided off of anything. It's not making no sense. It's not making no sense. People like, nah, what kind of sneakers do you buy? Oh, I buy Adidas. Oh yeah, I can't rock with you. Fuck that. We don't three stripe it around here. We Jordans all day. Only Jordans. Get out my face. We don't need you around. Like what? And this is what I'm saying. Like, people are judging people based off of their image, based off of their outside appearance, based off of their choice of clothes, based off of, and that's the society that we live in. Look, I'm telling you, right now, like 30 is the new old. 30 is like grandpa, right? That's why mankind is shrinking, because mankind's conscious is shrinking. Man, the consciousness of mankind is shrinking. Think about that. We got these people fooled. We got these kids thinking that 40 is the old. 40 is you old. So if you 50, you ancient. They don't respect ancient. They don't even want to talk to you. They think you a dinosaur. They think you a dinosaur. We don't respect our elders anymore. Not in this new world. They don't respect elders anymore. I mean, half the elders ain't even trying to be elders. You hear Jaguar, right? She still thinks she can go to the strip club. Jaguar, 50 years old, thinks she can go to the strip club. You better sit your ass down. She still thinks she gonna go perform somewhere. You better sit your ass down. I don't need you. You're not performing nowhere. Stop lying to these people. One cigarette, put your ass under the bus.
Eternal love consciousness embodied in a form is unity intelligence, and simultaneously recognized as the inner light of Christos.
Yeah, talking about she
Unity
about to be
consciousness is at
ordained
one
minister.
with God, and unity consciousness ignites the inner light of
With who?
Christos. The inner light of Christos, when actualized in form, is the embodiment of an eternal God human.
Ordained for what? Who told you could do that? Who told you? Were you under the Ephah? Under Ephah? You better stop. You better stop. All right. So when you're talking about the light, when you're talking about love, this is where the I am comes in, right? This is where the I am truly comes in at, right? This is when, stop laughing. Stop laughing, especially you, Sandra. Every time you laugh, I can hear your laugh in my head. And then it makes me laugh. And then my laugh makes everybody else laugh. All right? So stop laughing. Okay? We're in a serious learning session. Serious. Okay? Now, in the understanding of all of this, there's a lot of, madness going on. You got to be careful. When it comes to this level of love, you got to have a higher, expression of love. It's a higher expression of love. It comes with spiritual freedom. I know that our flesh is trapped to this physical plane. It can't extend past a certain level because it's material, right? When you talk about going to these planets, these Saturns, different places like that, it is a consciousness. It is a conscious travel. You cannot travel outside. The density level beyond this is different. So just like when you go into the ocean, there's different levels of density that makes your mass heavier. Y'all know about water. If the water pressure is above and below is not the same, it'll make you implode or press you, so on and so forth. Y'all know why we can only go so far under our ocean, because anything less will cause compression that will cause y'all know about it. Come on. Y'all know I shouldn't have to explain this. We got a little bit of intelligence, all right? So however you want to look at this, you got to think about that same thing in a gas, like going further and further out into the universe. You got to think about that same thing happening as you go further and further, right, out into the universe. This is why certain astronauts will tell you that we don't have the technology anymore to travel to the moon, and it'll take too long to get it back. This is why they tell you stuff like that. And remember, NASA started off as an ocean program first, exploring the oceans first before they started exploring, outer space. They started off as an ocean, you know, explorer program. So you have to think about these different variations of levels, right? So as we go higher up, the density changes. Our density actually changes. If you go further down into the ocean, the density changes, right? So therefore you would need a different level of suits to protect you, or so a lot of these aliens might have been coming in different variations of suits or different forms of suits, and these suits are painted on like hieroglyphics, the walls and stuff like that. You'll see this on 7 different continents. They painted these same things on the walls, like these certain images that was the same, right? Certain times where the moon did not exist in the sky. They say the moon appeared in the sky at a certain point in our history, that it always wasn't in the sky. I mean, if we go by what, Zachariah Stitchens or some of these other, historian, not, what they might have wrote. Just, if you study some shit.
The highest expression of love when manifested into our material world is the same experience as attaining consciousness freedom, and this is our highest purpose during the spiritual ascension cycle that is happening on the planet. Love is the organizing, harmonizing and synchronizing force that exists throughout creation, and through its expression, love is in perfect balance and harmony with what is, as it is. Love exists in alignment with truth, higher knowledge and the benevolent forces of light, in harmony with the natural laws, in harmony with the universe. To achieve and attain full consciousness freedom through the path of love, which organically emits truth in the light, as this is one and the same path that leads us directly into building a relationship with our inherent divinity, and builds our direct relationship with God. In this comprehension, God is love. When we declare ourselves as God beings, such as with the GSF decree, I am God, I am sovereign, and I am free, we are ultimately stating that we are beings of love. When the forces of love are fully present within a person, their heart center opens and flowers, propelling them naturally into the ascension stages, while developing their consciousness through the process of learning or gnosis, which is evolving them towards ultimately achieving spiritual freedom.
Now, to most people, what you just heard, probably one in one ear and out the other, right? But for those who are experiencing different variations of energies moving through your vessel, then this is a part of the ascension process, right? During the time that punishment will be lifted, where our kundalini will be allowed to rise with inside our vessels again, the angels will also continue moving through Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder being our zodiac signs. So if the angels are moving through our zodiac signs, that means certain angels are with certain zodiac signs at different particular points in time. So if we are at a marker point, then we can say that right now we're back at the head. So the angels will be in the minds of the multitude, changing the minds of the multitude at this time in the Aries of the vessel, right? And then the angels will move to the Taurus of the vessel, the throat. Then the angels will move to the Geminis, the arms. Then Cancer, the breasts, all the way to Pisces, which is the feet. So if Christ was in the Pisces era, that means the angels was the story of how Christ was with him, or how Christ told the story of how the angels was with him in the Pisces era, right? Now we're in the Aquarius sky, right? In the beginning, back at the beginning again, right? So now a new story is being written, of how this world works and how everything operates. And there's angelic beings moving through our zodiac signs. This is why our mind change and shifts so much. This is hormones, hormonic energy, right? The flow of things, right? This is why you might crave something at one point and then the next point you don't crave it no more. Around October, you got a taste for pumpkins, around December, you got a taste for cinnamon or, whatever. Around Thanksgiving, you got a taste for, you know, um, sweet potatoes. These are different things that happen, during these different uh, energy waves. Yeah, my birthday, April 20th. I'm Aries and Taurus. I'm on the cusp. I'm considered a twin with inside myself. And then because me and my brother share the same birthday, his birthday is May 26th. We're the same age, which is considered to be an Irish twin. And then ironically, my kids came out that same way too. So my son's birthday is August 23rd. My other son's birthday, October the 6th. They're twins until the other one changes age. So same thing with me and my brother, same thing with my kids. It's considered to be an Irish twin. Plus, I'm born on the cusp, so I'm a twin with inside myself. Because I share the energy of Aries and Taurus because it's on the cusp. So, but if we go by the 13-month calendar, then 420 is the start of Aries. If we was to change, I thought allegedly they were trying to find a way to put the calendar back to the 13-month calendar. I thought they were trying to find a way to put it back at 28 days apiece at 13 months to equal out a full cycle. I don't know. They might not have figured out a way to do it. Remember they had to take certain times out in order to get the Gregorian calendar in. Because it's not the similar of character because zodiac signs make up the body. When you think about the zodiac signs, Aries being the mind, Taurus or Pisces being the feet, it is a story of how the vessel was put together. Think about it. Even with your nervous systems, there's 12 parts of the nervous system, 12 parts of the mind, 12 parts of the body. All of these different reminders of 12, the importance of 12. Christ is considered the 13th. He's the 12. He's the one that puts the 12 together. So there's an energy inside your body that actually puts the 12 chakra systems, the 12, nervous systems, the 12 brain function, however you want to look at it. There's something about harmonic energy, your hormones, how to properly harness your hormones, over it's more than just sperm retention. It's more than just conquer. It's about the mind controlling this energy of what people now change to lust. There was a way of controlling this harmonic energy, right? These rituals that come with it, such as fornication, right? We label it as fornication back in the day. That was a great power. That was a great power. Yeah, soul is the 13th month. Yeah, soul. They called it soul, which hence why they put the soul up under your feet to make you walk on your soul, right? It's a joke. Everything is changed around to be gawked at, laughed about, or so on and so forth. But we're coming out of that now. We're moving into a grander union, a grander notion of this. I think that's a good thing, you know? I think that's a good thing that we're moving into a different stage of this, a new level of this. I think that's great. Um, more people are willing to try to understand. More people are willing to try to, step into that level of understanding. I think that's a great thing. Some people are opening their mind to a new way. That's a good thing. The ascension process is taking place. So a lot of people are coming into this understanding slowly but surely. Slowly but surely they are. Um, they might not really know what it is. They might not really understand what it is, but they're coming into an understanding of it. This goes back to like the galactic sun, the seven suns, the seven sister suns that uh and the eighth sun that is part of the seven sister suns. It is the key rasha energy of the vessel. This is where your keyboard comes in at, or your key tones on the piano, right? Where they come and they show you these different variations of frequencies. You guys remember my backdrop used to have the frequencies on there, used to show the frequency patterns like this, you know, to, do, rama, all of these are notes. G, F, E, D, C, B. All of these are notes that are on the keyboard, that are on the piano. All of these are notes that's on the piano, right? Uh so if you look at the side, all of those are notes that's on the piano. Once you understand like the vessel and the body, you understand that these sounds play a factor to the vessel. The seven tones of the seven tones of the universe, so on and so forth.
Pole is reversing, which is further altering its solar ray transmissions to Earth and to other planets. This change also alters the function of the constellation Ursa Major, in which its 7 main stars are sequentially merging forces with their counterpart, the 7 sister stars in the Pleiades. The resulting alchemical merge of these constellations of stars is manifesting a new expression of creation in the higher cosmic planes. This is referred to as the 7 sacred suns in the One. The collective spiritual suns are also called Aurora Sunday. This allows for the 7 sacred suns to unite as one connected solar body to transmit the cosmic spiritual sun plasma waves, which is the source field of building the Christos diamond sun body in its 7 tones, K-A-R-A-Y-A-S-A-T-A-A-A-L-A. This is also known as the crystal aegis. The 7 suns are the base shield for building the Eucharistic body or double diamond sun body of the Oraphim, the vehicle for Christos Sophia expressions. This is vastly significant as it marks the astrological resolution of levels of the miasma.
Now, you notice it said that this is the vehicle for Christos Sophia expressions. When you realize that your feelings and emotions are your spirit expressions, right? So when you go through stuff down here, this is your spiritual expression. How you go about responding and acting to stuff, this is your spiritual expression of feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions. So everything that we're going through in the spirit with inside our mind translate into a physical expression of feelings and emotions, right? So your body is that vehicle. Your vessel is that vehicle. So your expression is saying what you're going through in the spirit. So a lot of people are expressing turmoil. A lot of people are expressing this. That means they're going through that. When people speak of hell, speak of brimstone fire, that means they're fighting something inside of them. They're going through something inside of them, right? Has nothing to do with you, but they'll put this on you. They want you to feel what they're going through. They want you to feel all of that, right? So mainly it's supposed to be healing, but now we're in a time where it's just a lot of hurt people hurting people. You know, if you pay attention, you'll see a lot of hurt people hurting people right now in this time. There's not a lot of healing going on. So we're trying to undergo a healing process. We're trying to have a greater level of understanding, but it's tough. This stuff comes with knowledge, right? This stuff comes with knowledge. Knowledge is a part of the Aquarius sun line, whatever you want to call it. So right now we're moving into the aquiline sun. You know, this is the Aquarius sky. We're moving into the Aquarius sky, right? This planetary shift that's taking place, allegedly, supposedly, right? So we got to be careful. This is going to start awakening different parts, different strands of our DNA. They told you this was going to happen already. 2020, 2021, they told you that the sun is affecting your DNA. Did they not tell you that already? One's in the chat if y'all remember that. One's in the chat if y'all remember them
The
telling us that.
planetary body is nested within multiple blueprint structures that are contained within the 5 spheres of creation: planetary, solar, galactic, universal, and cosmic. The guardians of crystal star consciousness have been streaming plasma waves into all layers of the Earth's blueprint in order to raise her frequencies, and to fully anchor the plasma infusions coming from the galactic waves of solar light. Guardian forces have been acquiring solar plasma light from the suns of Sirius B, then transmitting it into the first levels of aquiline healing energy into the Earth. This is also for the purpose that we can begin to receive and transmit plasma light directly from the Earth plane and on the surface crust. Prior to this being made available, starseed grid workers would leave off planet to infuse these galactic frequencies into the Earth body, so that the human body eventually could connect with that same frequency. This has been successful, and now it is possible to connect with galactic sun frequencies right from the Earth plane. Plasma infusions have been made into the Earth core, which include the process of weaving solar light from the galactic suns down into the Earth core sun frequencies, allowing the fusion between these multiple solar bodies to occur.
Now, this would go back into the acceptance of, right? So let's just say there was a time that we might have been punished. Now we are off that punished time and we're back into the acceptance of, right? So we're being accepted back into a cycle of the soul system, right? Galactic Federation of the Light. However you want to look at it, allegedly, supposedly, for entertainment purposes only. Let's just say our bodies are being affected by the light, right? You know, so your body's being affected by the light again. Great things is happening. For those who don't want to get right with their self, hey, listen, you don't have to. You don't have to. Nobody has to do anything that they don't want to do, but your soul will find a way out of your vessel, right? This is why people addictions have went up. This is why the way people act has changed, because right now we're going through a change greatly, collectively, right? We're all going through a change. Things are shifting, so on and so forth. So universally, this is what's happening, right? Um, and however you want to look at it, it's part of the process. The universe is intensifying, it is cleaning up some negative stuff. Negative cannot exist under the Aquarius sky. The Aquarius sky is ruled by the planetary Uranus. Uranus comes with 2 forms of energy. One is considered the humble sun, so you will have to humble yourself, and 2 is considered a Lilith energy. A Lilith energy is a takeover. It is a I am a God type energy. So you're going to see more people with this I am a God type energy. They're going to be a massive. If you think Jaguar Wright is something, listen, this is why you seen the presidential election go the way that it went, with the symbols of him touching his right ear to say that he's the rightful heir. There was a lot of symbolization in that. We can get into the depths of that if y'all want to break that down, of why Trump, did the whole right ear scene and so on and so forth. There's a lot of God notion energy moving in where it's going to expose a lot of narcissistic people. They think they have the right to play on mankind in these variations of ways, allegedly, supposedly, for entertainment purposes only. But in the meantime, in between time, we'll look for understanding. We'll look towards trying to understand different variations of this. We'll point it out. Also, please go and if you don't have TikTok, get TikTok and go follow Energy of Atlas. We are going to be playing the game over there. So uh, we're going to be playing. We're gonna go over there and we're gonna be playing the game on Energy of Atlas over there. So this is the page right here. Right after this, we're gonna go over there and stream the game over there. So go follow Energy of Atlas over there. Go subscribe. We're live on that page right now. So I'm gonna leave that page live for a couple of minutes. So go subscribe to that page. We're gonna switch over and we're gonna be playing the game over there, playing Power World over there. So make sure you go subscribe to that page over there on Energy of Atlas on TikTok. Okay. We're going to stream the game over there. Plus, we're going to try to get some subscriptions over there. So that way, hey, listen, we'll get the subscribers over there. They don't want us to have subscribers over here. We'll get the subscribers over there. Plus, we'll communicate from the TikTok, from the Discord. So we'll have, while we're playing the game, we'll be in Discord holding the conversation of different things. Okay, so that's a good thing right there. Also make sure y'all check out the store. If you didn't get to the store yet, go check out the store. We have so much different other stuff in the store. We have this shirt right here. We have it in a multitude of colors right here. Keep getting up, right? We have that in a multitude of colors, right? So that's a beautiful thing. We have this shirt right here. This is the 420 shirt. 420. Grab one of these shirts. This is for the birthday. Also, you can tell people it's paper, rock, scissors. It don't matter. You can tell them it's paper, rock, scissors. Well, it don't matter. So yeah, you got that, and then you got some stickers you can order you some stickers, go get you a couple of stickers, criminums. Don't forget the criminums, right? And then you got the blanket. Don't forget the Atlas blanket, Sister Wise blanket. I haven't seen nobody post a picture of the Discord of that yet. I seen the hoodie. People got the hoodie already. I seen them post the pictures of the hoodie. So yeah, you got socks. Don't forget the new stuff. You got these new stainless steel water bottles, right? Nice stainless steel water bottle, right? Or you can get you the shirt, a halter top. The Love is Love halter top. Get you a She Paint coffee mug, right? That's her art right there. That's on there. So that's She Paint art right there. That's on that. And look for some new stuff too. We got the guidance for next generation stuff being added to it. That's a nonprofit organization. Guidance for the next generation. That's going to be added to it. G4NG, which it looks like it says gang, but it's a 4. So it's guidance for next generation G4NG. So that's going to be added to it. We got I think we're going to do the Don't Drake Me. Don't Drake Me neither. And then we got to have something for the birthday. That's coming up. But in the meantime, in between time, yeah, it's probably TikTok is the route to go, man. Listen, I'm already linked over there with TikTok as one of the fastest growing platforms out. If we build over there on TikTok, I can show you guys a different route. I have an agency over there on TikTok that I work with, so on and so forth, to help people build accounts, grow accounts. I have multiple accounts on TikTok. So they think they're blocking money. They think they blocking people shine. I say, you know, you can't stop something that's destined, so they can't really stop us. For the people that want to support me, go over and subscribe to my TikTok page. You know, I got 7 subscribers right now over there, right? So uh 41. I'm out of my 40 years. I'm turning 41. Yeah, my 40 years of punishment is over with. So I already went through my 40 years. This is my 41 year marker. This is when everything becomes glorious and I'm able to build heaven on earth. We winning. So yeah, so if you support, you know, love is love. We're gonna build anywhere, everywhere, you know, places that they never go. We heavy there. So, you know, make sure you go over to the TikTok, Energy Atlas on TikTok. Subscribe over there, hit the subscription button over there. Let's flood it. Let's flood it over there. All right. So we're gonna play this song. And hopefully I see all 63 of y'all. Well, let me see, because we're on 2 different pages. Okay, it's 52 people over here, 10 people in one room. All right, hopefully I see a lot of y'all go over to the Energy Atlas. We're going to stream the game over there. So I think I got a couple of people in the Discord that want to play this game. So we're going to stream the game over there. All right. So lock in with us. Lock in with us.
A lot of shit we do gonna have consequences, but we gotta be ready.
Yeah, I'm only one vessel old.
Emergency. I just got out of
stopped
surgery.
aging at
I'm
28.
having problems with my heart and it won't
Been the
work.
same since
I
28.
did some shit in my past and it's cursing me. I'ma stay right here for this toxic, God take breath from me. I'm sipping his hand and he just pain, but it ain't helping. My little nigga going against the grain and that shit stressing me. I pray to God that God have mercy. I'm living a crazy life. I just shot at a nigga for talking some shit on the gang. He paid the price. I was young in the rush for the money. My hunger for paper it saved my life. And that shit can save tonight. If you want that lick shit, we can get rich quick. We can get paid tonight. Yeah, go. Dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money. Everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down. You gonna do anything to get it, but when you gonna go after it? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by hire. You killed a nigga, you don't know if you gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, dog. Real talk. Hey. Fight my demons. So many demons. Me against these demons. Against these demons. Fight my demons. Fight in my. It's me against these demons. Whoa, I'm fighting these demons up in this ghost. I'm fighting these demons, I'm on the ropes. They came with a beam up under my coat. Get hit in the spleen if you want to smoke. That money be green, so niggas on go. I'm looking so clean, I used to be poor. Remember they laughed at me and they choked. Gave him the ball and nigga they choke. Tables turn, that nigga you go. My little nigga don't follow no code. Follow no code, no code. My nigga follow me like the pole. I stand on my word and stand by the consequence. They say I'm heartless, thanks for the compliment. I sing it dead, homie, yelling company. VMG gang, get bitch fit competent. Don't wanna hear that shit, I gotta kill that shit. Lethally militant, I can get ignorant, we not considerate. Niggas do silly shit, we get the drilling shit. Guilty and innocent, don't give a fuck about the bystander. I can pull up in the Highlands. Don't take no slander, don't take no slander. Dollar bill, y'all. Everybody want the money, everybody want this shit. Everybody want the money, but don't wanna go down. You'll do anything to get it, but when you gon' go up? Shit, gotta think about it. 187. Murder by hire. You killed a nigga, you don't know if you gon' go to heaven. Gotta chalk that shit over, dog. Real talk. Hey. Fight my demons. So many demons.
If nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first but not the last to tell you that I love you. All right. Remember, one's image of oneself should be greater than reality. Don't let nobody tell you that you're not great. All right. And listen, no matter what mistakes you made, no matter what you did in the past, no matter what brought you to this moment, you at this moment. A lot of people don't make it to this moment in life, but you still here. You still kicking. You still got a chance to make a change, make it better. Let's do that. Let's change. Let's be better collectively. Love is love. Namaste, Ashe, salutations. And it's just the start of the day. It's just the start of the day. We got so much more to do. We got so much more to do. All right. I hope I see you over on TikTok. If not, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Have a great one.